Welcome back. Royal Dutch Shell and British Petroleum have agreed annual deals to buy Libyan crude, underscoring how the North African countries recovering production and improving security are enticing some of the world's largest oil companies. Shell's deal with Libya's National Oil Corporation was the first of its kind since 2013, and Europe's biggest oil company will load its first cargo under the contract within days. BP, which didn't have a term deal in 2017, also reached an agreement for this year. Libya pumped the most oil in 4 years in 2017 amid signs that the worst of a conflict that hobbled output was being resolved. While the return of Shell and BP to its list of customers would be good news for Libya, the country's production remains well below where it used to be under the rule of Muammar Gaddafi. And 2018 is a pre-election year for Nigeria, and foreign investors have a key role to play in its financial markets. At a discourse on the economic outlook for 2018, financial analyst and economist Dr. Biodo Adedipe speaks to this thinking and how businesses must respond to the issues.
Two key issues in the political environment that will impact the economy. The politics we have now looks at elections coming February 2019. Typically, foreign investors troop out before any election in any country in Africa, not just in Nigeria. I was at an event in Istanbul 2 years ago where we had all the African ambassadors present, and I was, of course, my brother here was the one who sent me there to represent NSG. And the conversation started. One prof from Germany came and said, democracy is dying in Africa. And I looked at all those African country ambassadors, they kept quiet. I then raised up my hand and challenged. I said, where did you find this idea that democracy is dying in Africa? And of course, the man kept quiet after that. But what I also brought out was that sentiment and understanding they have is once an election is coming in Africa, foreigners, get out of that place. That's on the one side. But also that elections are coming next year. Most governments, central, state, local, will likely spend this year. Not only preparation for the elections, but some we also want to look good. Most inner roads in Lagos are in bad state. You might simply see activity because the government want to look good towards election. So they'll be spending. And that will create what I call liquidity slush. And when that happens, it is either CBN will go out aggressively to mop up, or they will have no choice than to let go. And you know what I mean by letting go. Letting go is to devalue. Okay? There's already a taxi devaluation. And why do I say that? Even what CBN says is understood to be important, medical, school fees, and the likes, you still source at the same rate that you get at the export window. So in which case, transactions officially recognized as necessities are priced at that level. So it's only a matter of time. Now, my worry about inflation rates, as projected here at 13.45, when we put this as our expectation, it was based on the fact that we will produce more of food, crops, and not only produce them, it will be in sufficient quantity that what the manufacturers need as input would not deny consumption end of it. But if what is happening now with the issue of the herdsmen chasing farmers away from the farms and therefore can affect farm produce, we may not see inflation come to this level. In fact, instead of coming down, it might spike and go higher, even though we've seen an improvement from 18.72 beginning of this year to 15.9 as of November 2017. But we may not see the kind of improvement that we put here because every expectation here has some assumptions behind it. Of course, interest rate will remain double digit. There's no magic about that. Then exchange rate, well, you notice there is a versus there. versus means we may likely see a shift from where we are now, official rate, that is on the table, and now move towards seeing the official rate actually taking a cue from what is happening in the alternative market, and of course responding to the market. Crude oil price, average assumed anyway, what you see there is an average for the year. But again, like we tell ourselves in BA Consult, what is it that can keep the price of crude oil up there? It doesn't take much. It's only for Trump to carry his Twitter handle, throw something out, or carry his pen, sign an executive order, and trigger trouble out there. And once it triggers trouble in the Middle East, that is it. But to even get worse, and that's the one that can be dangerous for Nigeria, if anything happens in the Niger Delta. Because if you look at the history of the price of crude oil, since 1970 till date, because we track this data, you discover that any time the price of crude oil went up significantly, there's a spike. Usually it's either trouble in the Middle East or in the Niger Delta region in Nigeria. And the reason is because a lot of our crude in Nigeria is sweet in nature, low sulfur content. And so the international market reacts to it. But the unfortunate thing will be that if we cannot produce here because of restiveness, then we will not benefit from the spike in price. So my thinking is simply this, that if businesses will thrive this year, then we must review the dynamics of our business environment and even of each business itself.
And as global leaders gear up for this year's edition of the World Economic Forum in Davos next week in Switzerland, participating nations are putting finishing touches to what they will be selling to the world about themselves in various areas. Our leading South Africa's delegation this year is the Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa, who says that despite the challenges the country faces like economic downgrades, state capture and corruption, the delegation will be in Davos with a compact that will assure prospective investors.
We certainly want to see policy certainty across all, if you like, platforms. Where there's been policy uncertainty, we want to work together with the private sector, with labor, with community-based organizations as government to infuse that certainty. We want, as part of this compact, to have economic recovery. Our most important task right now is to address the challenge of jobs, inequality, and poverty. And we will be able to address all that by recovering or getting our economy to recover. And we want to work together to ensure that there is economic recovery. Government cannot do it alone, nor can the private sector do it alone, as all of us are going to Davos to go and sell South Africa. And we should do that with the purpose of attracting investors to come to South Africa. So it will be increasing investor confidence in our country and also addressing the key challenges that we face.
And with that, we wrap up today's edition of the program. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Chimeze Obi Iwago.